You're about to watch a video that will either be one of the best things that ever happens to your thinking or one of the most dangerous. I'm not saying that for effect. I'm saying it because it's true. And by the end of the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly why. Let me ask you something first. Have you ever met someone who just sees things differently? Someone who stays calm when everyone else is falling apart? Someone who makes decisions with a kind of quiet certainty that makes you wonder, what does this person know that I don't? That kind of person isn't just intelligent. They think differently, at a structural level. The wiring underneath their decisions is different from the average person's wiring. And that is not a gift they were born with. It is a set of thinking patterns, patterns that can be learned, practiced, and built into who you are. That's what this video is about, specifically the thinking of the ancient Stoics, not the watered-down version you see on a coffee mug. The real thinking, the discipline that shaped generals, emperors, and former slaves who ended up teaching emperors. But here's where I have to be honest with you before we go any further. This thinking is not neutral. The same discipline that makes one person calm, clear, and genuinely powerful can make another person cold, detached, and ultimately alone. I've watched it happen. And the frightening part is that the people who drift down that second path never see it coming. They believe they are becoming wiser. They don't notice they are slowly becoming someone they would not recognize. So this video has two purposes. First, to teach you the thinking. Second, to warn you about what it costs if you lose control of it. The difference between the two outcomes was never intelligence. It is one word: control. The ability to hold a sharp, powerful, even dangerous way of thinking in your mind and still choose exactly what to do with it. That is what separates a wise man from a cold one. Before we go further, drop this in the comments. My mind is my instrument, not my master. Now let's get into it. Most people think wisdom is about how much you know. It isn't. It's about how you think, the process underneath the decision, the system behind the response. There are 5 thinking patterns the ancient Stoics practiced that most people never develop because nobody ever teaches them directly. Number 1, the discipline of control. Everyone talks about chasing success, work harder, want more, stay consistent, and there's truth in that. But here's what those conversations skip over. Most people suffer not because life is unfair, but because they spend their entire energy on things they were never able to control in the first place. Epictetus built his whole philosophy around a single dividing line. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Your opinion, your effort, your desire, your judgment, those belong entirely to you. Your reputation, other people's choices, the weather, the outcome of a negotiation, none of that is yours to command. Think about it in your own life. Instead of obsessing over whether people will approve of your decision, ask what the decision requires of your own effort and character, and focus there completely. Instead of dreading an outcome you cannot influence, direct that same energy toward the preparation you can influence completely. This is not detachment. It is precision. You are not ignoring the outside world because you don't care. You are ignoring it because you finally understand where your actual power begins and ends. That is the first shift. Number 2, learning how to learn. 2 people read the same text by Seneca. One walks away with a few quotable lines. The other walks away with an entirely new way of handling pressure. Same book, completely different outcomes. The difference is not natural talent. It's that the second person studies how they absorb ideas, not just what the ideas say. This is what the Stoics called prososche, the discipline of paying close attention, not only to the world, but to your own mind while it works. When do you actually retain a lesson? In the quiet of the morning, or in the middle of a busy day? Do you understand something faster by reading it, or by writing it down in your own words? What is the gap between the wisdom you nod along to in the moment and the wisdom you can actually apply 3 weeks later under real pressure? Most people never ask these questions. They just consume more quotes, more videos, more books, and wonder why nothing seems to change their actual behavior. The bottleneck is never the information. It is how you process it. Start studying yourself as a student of your own mind. Once you understand how you actually absorb and retain a lesson, you stop competing on how much philosophy you've read and start competing on how deeply you've applied it. Number 3, destroying your own beliefs. Here's a test. Think of something you believe strongly right now. It doesn't matter what it is, personal, about yourself, about how the world works. Now ask yourself, what is the strongest possible argument against that belief? Not the weakest version, not a straw man. The best, most uncomfortable, most logically solid case for why you might be wrong. Can you build it? If you can't, that's a problem, not because you're foolish, but because it means you've been holding a belief without ever actually examining it. Marcus Aurelius filled an entire private journal with this exact exercise, questioning his own assumptions, night after night, long before anyone else ever read a single word of it. A belief that has never been tested is not a conviction. It is simply a habit you've grown comfortable with. Attacking your own thinking before the world does it for you is one of the rarest disciplines a person can build. It is uncomfortable. Things you thought were solid start to wobble. But on the other side of that discomfort is something more valuable than being right. It is actually knowing what is true. Weak minds defend opinions. Strong minds interrogate their own thinking. That is a completely different kind of confidence, not louder, deeper. Number 4, facing the worst first. The Stoics had a practice that sounds dark until you understand what it actually does. It's called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Before any major decision or challenge, they would deliberately sit with the worst realistic outcome, not to spiral, not to panic, but to prepare. What is the actual worst case here? What do I lose? How does it feel? What would I actually do the moment it happened? This practice builds 2 things over time. First, setbacks stop being surprises because you've already sat with them mentally. When something goes wrong, you don't freeze because on some level, you've already rehearsed this exact moment. Second, you become emotionally steady in a way the people around you will notice and not fully understand. Small problems lose their grip on you because you've already mentally survived something far bigger. Most people do the opposite. They rehearse the perfect outcome on repeat, the applause, the win, the moment everything goes right. Then reality shows up, messier than the fantasy ever was, and they collapse. Not because they're weak, but because they were completely unprepared. Prepare for the worst. Then go build the best outcome you can. That order, in that sequence, is what keeps you calm and functional when the pressure actually hits. Number 5, identity over willpower. Willpower breaks under enough stress, enough exhaustion, enough bad days stacked one after another. You've felt this yourself. Identity doesn't break the same way. Picture 2 men. One forces himself out of bed at dawn to train through sheer discipline. He fights the alarm every single morning. Some days he wins, some days he doesn't. The other man simply is disciplined. He doesn't fight the resistance the same way because skipping the work would feel wrong to him at a fundamental level. One is powered by willpower and one is powered by identity, and they are not equally reliable. The shift is this. Stop trying to force behaviors and start becoming the kind of person who performs those behaviors naturally. Every time you sit down and read a hard passage when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for the identity of someone who thinks clearly. Every time you stay composed under pressure, you build the identity of someone known for steadiness. The behavior comes first, and the identity solidifies behind it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that he did not need to wait for the perfect circumstances to act like the man he intended to be. He simply had to act like that man now, in this hour, in this decision. Identity before achievement. Become it first. The results follow. At this point, you have 5 thinking tools that most people never build. The discipline of control, active learning, self-examination, negative preparation, identity over willpower. Apply even 2 of these consistently, and your life will look genuinely different in 6 months. That's not exaggeration. But here is where things get dangerous, because these patterns don't just sharpen you, they change you. And if you're not watching carefully, that change moves in a direction you never chose. This next section is what nobody in the self-improvement space wants to talk about, and it might be the most important thing I tell you today. It's uncomfortable, and I'm not going to soften it. If you take thinking seriously, if you actually try to grow, what I'm about to describe is going to feel personally familiar, because this is what happens to disciplined minds that go unchecked. Number 1, the impatience that grows inside you. It starts quietly, almost invisibly. You start noticing things in conversations you never noticed before, the logical gaps, the assumptions people make without realizing it, the way people reach conclusions with no real reasoning underneath them. At first, you try to engage. You offer a different angle. You ask a better question. But it doesn't always land. People get defensive, or they look at you like you're speaking a different language, or they agree in the moment and then think the exact same way 5 minutes later. And slowly, without ever making a conscious decision about it, you stop trying. You stop explaining. You just move past people, not with anger, with dismissal. This feels like clarity, like you're simply being efficient, not wasting your energy on conversations that go nowhere. It is not clarity. It is the first crack in your connection to the world around you. Real steadiness, real influence, requires patience, the willingness to bring people along rather than simply walking ahead of them. A man who walks too far ahead of everyone else isn't leading. He's just walking alone. Number 2, forgetting what confusion felt like. When you genuinely put in the work, when you build real understanding and see the results, you forget what it felt like before you had that clarity. You forget the confusion, the frustration of not being able to see what now feels obvious. And once you forget that, you start expecting others to simply get it. You start feeling something colder than impatience when people make the mistakes you used to make. That coldness, that quiet contempt, is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a disciplined mind, because contempt shuts down empathy. Seneca warned his own students about exactly this, that a man who forgets his own weaknesses will judge others without mercy. Without empathy, you can still analyze people. You can still observe their patterns, but you stop understanding them. And a mind that observes people without understanding them will keep producing blind spots in every important decision it makes. You didn't become wiser. You became disconnected. Those are not the same thing. Number 3, the isolation you don't notice. Nobody announces this one. It just happens. You start thinking differently, which means you start relating differently. The gap between how you see the world and how the people around you see it widens, slowly at first, then faster. Conversations that used to interest you start to feel shallow. You pull back, not dramatically, but quietly. You're in the room, but you're not really there. You tell yourself it's discipline, that you're simply protecting your time and your standards. But there's a version of that story where it isn't discipline at all. It's loneliness that has learned how to justify itself. And from the inside, the two look identical. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire, still kept advisors close who disagreed with him openly, because he understood that isolation was a weakness dressed up as strength. Thinking differently does not mean connecting less. It means connecting more intentionally. The isolation is not a sign of growth. It is a warning sign. Now, if this framework is already shifting something in how you think about your own mind, subscribe if you liked the video. It genuinely helps this channel keep making content like this, and it takes about 2 seconds. Number 4, the feedback illusion, the most dangerous trap of all. This is the one that quietly destroys people who believe they were past this kind of mistake. When you develop clear thinking and start making good decisions. When you build a track record of being right, something shifts in how people treat you. They stop correcting you. They stop pushing back. They let you run with ideas, even the ones that have real holes in them. and your mind reads the silence as confirmation. The absence of challenge starts to feel like proof that you're right. But here's what's actually happening. People stopped correcting you because they were tired of being wrong in front of you. Because the last few times they pushed back, you had a response ready for everything. And eventually they stopped trying. The silence is not agreement. It is avoidance. And it is the most dangerous environment a sharp mind can operate in, because it removes the one thing that keeps thinking honest, real resistance. A mind with no resistance grows soft, no matter how sharp it started out. You need people who will tell you exactly what you don't want to hear. If the people around you have stopped doing that, either find people who will, or examine seriously what you've done to make honesty feel unsafe around you. The moment people stop challenging you is the moment your judgment starts to decline, quietly, and by the time you notice, the damage is already deep. This is how the cold version of a disciplined man is built, not through one dramatic choice, but through slow distance, growing impatience, fading empathy, deepening isolation, and feedback that quietly disappears. A mind that gets sharper in theory while getting more wrong in practice. So the question becomes, how do you stop it? How do you keep the discipline without losing what makes you worth knowing? That's what this final section is about. And it's the part people skip because it sounds soft. It isn't. It's actually the hardest part. Number 1, hunt for honest feedback. Actively. People will not hand you honest feedback by default, not once you've established yourself as someone who seems to have an answer for everything. They will soften the truth until it barely lands, so you cannot wait for honesty to arrive on its own. You have to go looking for it. Ask specific, uncomfortable questions and actually sit with the answers. Not, what do you think? Which gets you a polished, safe response, but where am I wrong in how I'm approaching this? And when someone answers, you don't defend yourself. You don't explain it away. You sit with it. This also means finding people sharp enough to see your blind spots and honest enough to name them, and protecting those relationships once you find them. Epictetus taught his own students that a man who cannot be corrected has already stopped learning, no matter how much he still reads or discusses ideas. Reward the hard truth, because if you only hear what you want to hear, even when it happens to be accurate most of the time, you are navigating with broken instruments. Number 2, stay anchored in reality. A disciplined mind that lives mostly inside its own head starts trusting its own models more than the actual world in front of it. You build mental frameworks for how things work, and the frameworks are good, genuinely good, but they're still simplified versions of a complicated reality. The moment you start treating the model as more reliable than the evidence right in front of you, you've crossed from wise into arrogant. Reality is the only real test, not how well an idea sounds in your own head, not how convincingly you can argue it. What actually happens when it meets the real world? Stay in the arena, test your thinking, adjust when the evidence tells you to. Marcus Aurelius did not rule from a private study. He ruled from the field, adjusting his judgment against the constant friction of real events, real people, and real consequences. Stay grounded. Let reality teach you what your own mind cannot. Drop this in the comments right now. I stay grounded, always. Number 3, build your personal code before pressure tests it. This is non-negotiable, and the timing matters more than most people realize. Pressure does not reveal character. It amplifies whatever is already there. If you have not clearly defined your own values before real pressure arrives, that pressure will simply magnify the worst parts of you. The impatience, the coldness, the willingness to treat people as instruments. It will not happen dramatically. It will happen gradually through a series of small compromises that each seem reasonable in the moment they're made. A personal code is a set of rules you establish in a calm moment, long before the temptation is real. What lines will you never cross, even if crossing them would win? How do you treat people who can offer you nothing in return? How do you behave when nobody is watching at all? These are not abstract questions. They are practical decisions that determine exactly who you are when things get difficult. Without a code, discipline becomes a tool you can no longer control. With one, it becomes something you can actually trust. Number 4, see clearly, choose not to exploit. This is the line, right here. This is what separates every outcome we've discussed today. When you genuinely understand people, what drives their choices, what they fear, what they actually need beneath what they say out loud, you gain something powerful. You can connect more deeply. You can lead more honestly. Or you can use that same understanding to manipulate, to press the exact buttons you've learned to find, to get what you want while letting someone believe it was entirely their own idea. Both paths are available to you. Understanding does not make that choice for you. Manipulation works in the short run and quietly destroys everything in the long run, because it requires maintaining a gap between what's real and what you've presented. And that gap takes constant energy to manage. People feel it eventually, even when they can't name exactly what they're feeling. Trust erodes, relationships hollow out from the inside, and you end up technically capable and completely alone, with no one left around you who actually knows who you are. Real steadiness does not need manipulation. It builds environments where people want to do what serves everyone involved. That is harder. It takes longer, but it is the only kind of strength that actually compounds over time. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. My discipline is my restraint. Let me bring this back to where we started. 2 people watched this exact video. Same ideas, same tools, sitting in front of both of them equally. One of them takes the discipline of control and uses it to build something real, focusing his energy only where it can actually move something. He uses self-examination to challenge his own thinking instead of tearing down other people's. He uses negative preparation to stay calm under real pressure because he has already mentally survived the worst version of events. He hunts for honest feedback. He stays grounded in what's real. He defines his code before pressure ever tests it. He sees people clearly and chooses to lead them honestly. He becomes steady, capable, and he stays human while he does it. The other one takes the exact same ideas and uses them to justify a distance he was already quietly building between himself and the world. He gets sharper, faster, more precise, and colder. He stops explaining himself because he stopped believing he needs to. He stopped seeking honest feedback because the silence around him started to feel like proof he was right. He sees through people and slowly starts using what he sees. He wins arguments, he loses people. And one day he finds himself in a room built entirely by his own mind, and there's no one left in it. Same knowledge, 2 completely different outcomes, and the choice was never made in one dramatic moment. It was made across 100 small moments, over months and years, that quietly added up to who he became. Here is what I want you to take from this. Thinking more clearly will make you steadier and stronger, but without control, it will make you alone. Not because the world can't handle a disciplined mind, but because a disciplined mind without a personal code, without empathy, without honest feedback, without real human connection, will eventually turn on itself. The most dangerous mind isn't the sharpest one. It's the one that quietly stopped being human. That's not a dramatic ending, it's a real warning. The people who drift down that path don't notice it happening until long after it already has. They believe they're becoming wiser. What they're actually becoming is smaller, more capable, and smaller at the same time. Don't let that be you. You watched this whole video, and that already tells me something about you. You're the kind of person who takes ideas seriously, who wants more than the surface version of things. That's what gets you somewhere real. Now use it right. Before you go, if this video made you think, if even one idea shifted something in how you see yourself, subscribe if you liked the video and share it with someone you think is ready for it. Not everyone is, but you probably know someone who is. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I grow, I stay grounded, I stay human, because that's the whole point. Grow sharper, stay steady, stay connected to the people and the principles that make any of this worth building in the first place. The question was simple from the start. After everything you just heard, are you becoming wiser or something colder? The answer is yours to make. Make it carefully.